That's actually how the rest of that goes.
Good evening. Welcome, everybody, tonight to Children of the Most High and the Roxy Files, and just me and Shannon, just hanging out with you guys. Yay! Look, camera on. I'm getting more used to this camera on thing. Clayton is in the studio with us tonight, everybody.
Clayton in the house.
Well,
Okay, that was really terrible. I didn't mean to be such a terrible host.
Shannon just ate a delectable cheeseburger. It smelled good through the screen.
If I just start eating stuff on the show, don't be offended.
This baby cakes. This is raw and unfiltered and uncensored. Hello, everyone. Oh, we got a newbie in the house.
Woo!
Hello,
Yes.
Dawn. Welcome. Yes, we will single you out. We will put your name on screen because that's just what we do. We got Kent, Biggie, Miss K's in here. Trying to run back up through the list because some of you wonderful people have been here for 30 minutes waiting on us. And I'm sorry, Biggie, that you have to take a test and you can't roll up. My bad, my love. I don't. Watch. Pass. Yep. Clayton is here with us. There's Clayton. We'll put him up. Hello, Clayton.
Hey guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay, I was trying to find my other headphones, but
Perfection, darling. Perfection.
perfect.
Perfect.
Hello, everybody. Good to be here.
We were trying to let everybody get in the house before we started too deep in conversation. We got a shout out tonight, and hang on, I'm going to show you our shout out. Dun dun dun. Why is it not letting me see? Oh, I forget how this thing works sometimes, like how I have to separate the tabs to be able to display. It's aggravating.
This is why I'm not allowed to touch buttons.
All right, well, here's a YouTube short from somebody, and I would like everyone to pay close attention to her sweatshirt. Oh,
Hi, I'm
if
May.
anybody doesn't
I have a
know
new song
who
called
May
Sinners.
is, she is an Australian singer. She has a song, Carmageddon. What is the other one we like so much, Shannon? We were just listening to it a minute ago.
Can't remember.
Good Citizen.
Ah.
She says everything out loud. She has a new song dropping this Sunday, I think it is. It's called The Sinners, and it's about the Epstein files. There's my mama calling. You're gonna have to wait a minute, Heifer. I'm on the air. Gotta text her now. And I get in trouble for not answering my mama. But anyway, here's the video, the short from IMA about her new song.
This song is about the Epstein files and all the sick shit going on in Hollywood and all the elites. And it's got me feeling some type of way, which is why I'm here to tell you this. I'm an independent artist, and I've had a lot of backlash for some of the things I've sung about. I've lost contracts. My videos have been removed online many times. I've had the Australian Medical Board investigate me. The list goes on. The reality is that for almost every artist, there's a middleman between us and you. Whether that's a record label, Spotify, or a social media platform, they have access to the audience, but we often don't. And they can take that away from us whenever they want. Artists get offered the shittest deals from these companies, and they make millions, while the artists are left with scraps. I keep getting these offers, and I keep saying no. The music I make is expensive, and the videos I make is expensive, and I've been funding all of this myself so far. Because of the censorship that I've had, I've built a platform on my website where I can share my music and anything else I want directly with you. So, if my Instagram gets taken down tomorrow or my music gets removed again, we can still stay connected, and I'm going to keep making music. A lot of people have been asking over the years, how can they support me? And I've never actually taken money from anyone. But if you do want to support what I do, this is a way you can now. And just for the record, I'm still not suicidal. I do not take drugs, and I have no plans to go in any helicopters. Love you guys. Hi, I'm IM.
Now, isn't that just completely sad that in this world that you have to say those things out loud?
Yeah. It's good she covered all three of those bases, though. Like, there's three different ones they could
Yeah, I'm not
target.
suicidal. I don't do drugs, and I ain't getting in no helicopter.
Said
Yeah.
what she said. And by the way, what she's saying is 100% accurate.
Absolutely.
Both of us in the industry. And, if you want to support us, artists who say no to these contracts, check out Soul 7 music on all the lovely apps. I only got a few songs out there, but hey, whatever. And I holy cannoli. I'm sorry. I'm kind of in tears right now because I didn't.
Had no idea we had that kind of reach. But
Love you.
we're waiting on folks to come in. We're at 10 viewers now before we kind of get into this conversation. But everybody subscribe, hit the like button. That's important to us. We don't make a dime off of this. Yeah, she's very outspoken. She's much like us. She don't curtail her words, and that's one of the things I love about her. Is she says exactly what the hell is on her mind, and she doesn't care who likes it. She doesn't care what kind of money she loses because of it, and that's a big thing about. Yeah,
Hair Bear Club. So you know.
yeah, she's part of the Care Bear Club. Oh no, people, you can't see mine because it cuts it off. But yeah, it's part of the Care Bear Club. Um, and if you want to be part of the Care Bear Club, just go onto the community board and under your username, tell us what color your Care Bear would be and what the item would be that's on his tummy. And I'm thinking about taking AI and creating us a Care Bear army. So go pick your Care Bear. I'm gonna make a Care
We
Bear
care
army.
a lot.
We care about everybody. We probably care too much. It's probably one of our problems. I don't know if you can care too much, but you know. And there was something else. Oh, we are broadcasting currently on about 5 channels and the Supernatural Show Network. If that's what you're watching us on, you still need to subscribe to our channels because not all of our content will be over on that channel if you like us. So you're going to need to subscribe to the Roxy Files and Children of the Most High because not all content is in all places. We're on TikTok too. We didn't realize it, but evidently we've been clicking the button for months and we've been TikTok living it every time. So hello, TikTok world. And if we're not interacting with you on the screen, we apologize. We haven't figured out those buttons yet, everybody.
Again, this is why I'm not allowed to touch buttons.
But tonight's conversation is Shannon's topic of choice. And I will let you get us started, Shannon.
Okay. I'm going to start this out with Backrooms. Everyone here in this forum should know something, have heard something about the Backrooms, the liminal spaces, the space in between spaces that seems like it couldn't possibly be contained in the physical space that you're in, but yet it just continues and continues in labyrinths and ways that you can't get out. Well, there is a YouTuber this summer. Well, I guess you could say it was technically late spring. These movies came out, and there were 2 YouTubers who actually came out with like feature films for the first time. It's kind of a big deal. Some people like us were able to go out there and make a film that is in the theaters. And this particular person, I cannot remember his name. I'm sure someone in the audience knows, created the Backrooms film. My husband and I are going to see it tomorrow. But as I was kind of looking into a little bit of information about, what this film really is about, like the meat and potatoes, the storyline of what they're going off of, right? I decided I would kind of look into this book that me and my friends were absolutely obsessed with back in like 1999, 2000. The book actually came out and published in 2000, but there were bits and pieces and of this manuscript being posted online before it was officially published. And it's called House of Leaves. And it is literally about this, the Backrooms, the liminal spaces. And this book is incredibly difficult to read. It's a story within a story within a story. Basically, this a documentary filmmaker films this whole thing of him and his family moving into this house, and these liminal spaces just start showing up, and then they end up going into these liminal spaces with friends, and all this insanity ensues. But within this is this guy Sabato, who is creating a manuscript off of his obsession off of this documentary. So he is, seemingly writing down and obsessing about this whole entire thing and how it could be possible. He ends up dying, and this other guy, Johnny, who is in LA and all this stuff, comes across it because his friend is neighbors with the guy and finds the dead guy's manuscript in the house. And so Johnny tries to finish it. Long story short, this book it is written like a labyrinth. We're talking just like appendices and footnotes and wacky designs, and some pages of just absolute nonsense, and some pages are just mind blowing, and it goes into these stories. Well, it turns out this documentary is real. There were some people who actually had owned this documentary, and I've just now found this out. So this is all like coming back to me, and it reminds me of I mean, the whole basis of the book and the parts of the back rooms and the liminal spaces in this house is that it's basing it off of the Minotaur and the labyrinth, back in Greek mythology, and facing your inner monsters, your trauma, and that these spaces, what the Greeks called the thin places, are real and ancient. And there's something about these physical liminal in between places where what lurks in there is something that your inner trauma needs to face. And in mall worlds, there are spaces like this. I mean, we're all aware of the liminal space because of mall world and that kind of thing. I mean, I the mall itself has these stairways that lead to nowhere, or stores that are there but you can never find. They're in different areas,
Or
and
extremely long hallways that seem to go nowhere.
well, there's that mansion that's like that, and everything in that mansion is pretty much like that. And it's like some kind of ancient liminal, like a place in between where there is literal like demonic trauma that you're facing with yourself in the shadows and in these corridors and in these places that never seem to go anywhere because it's like in your mind. And in this book, which is very fascinating, is that even though you're not physically in the house, the people who seemingly have something to do with this manuscript or this documentary or this thing, and it ends up enveloping in their mind. So the physicality of that liminal space then gets in your everyday world without having to be in the house. It's a very fascinating thing. So the fact that this movie has come out, and I know this YouTuber's been doing this for a while, um, it's just really interesting because we're seeing something on a much deeper level coming out in film that we can un- relate to and study. Oh no, we lost Clayton.
He'll come back.
I'm sorry. Didn't mean to take over talking.
He'll be back. He might have lost connection.
What do
Listen, Clayton puts up with us all week long. He's aware of what this is. I'm just looking. See, I told you he'd be back.
Yeah, House of Leaves.
Clayton.
Sorry. I tabbed out just to
Shannon's like,
share it
oh no, he's
around.
gone. I'm like, no, girl, he puts up with us all week long. That didn't
No,
scare him
no, no.
off.
I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't dare. I was just sharing it out to some people just to, get it out there. So when tabbing out to certain apps, it boots me out of here for some
Look
reason.
at there. There's another new viewer. Francisco.
Sweet.
What up, Francisco?
Shout out from Texas. Viva la resistance. Amen, brother.
Viva la resistance!
Roxy and Shannon for president. We're going to change this crap.
That's right.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, what do you guys have to say about all this? Tell me your feelings. What are your thoughts on these back rooms? As you all went mute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to let Roxy go first because I'm sure she's probably way more in tune with this stuff. It's really brand new to me, the specific topic, but I'm just waiting because I know it's going to open up some doors into, maybe some bridges into some other concepts that I kind of tried to quickly follow up with a thing. But yeah, Roxy, I don't know if you want to go ahead first. I can say a little bit, but from what I gather, it's a pretty bizarre concept that it speaks to, some elements that what I saw in the short little thing there, if I got it right, was sort of suggesting that's maybe in one respect at least, some people get into certain things for the right reasons, and then they sort of fall out of that and end up getting lost. It gets lost on them, and they ultimately end up doing things for the wrong reasons out of like a ritualistic thing, sort of thing. And if I remember right, also, I think the guy's name was Parsons. Does that sound familiar, Shannon?
Oh,
The
Jack
last name?
Parsons. Oh yeah, Jack
Not
Parsons.
Jack Parsons, but another guy, like as the director or producer of this the movie. I think
Um,
I can't recall the first name, or if yeah. But
I
anyway,
want to talk
but
about
I
this.
thought of Jack Parsons right away as soon as I heard that name. I'm like, oh, interesting. I wonder if there's some relation there.
Yeah, the
Right?
comments are
He
fixing
seems
to get.
to have been like the expert on. I mean, he's the one who kind of brought it out, which I find to be interesting. You
Who?
know,
Jack Parsons?
no,
No.
the director, and
Oh,
but
okay.
in relation to no,
Yeah, my back rooms are mine seem to be filled with fear. It like you're
Mm,
saying, it's a fear that you've got to face. And like I've only got into a couple of them, and memories are starting to come back that we hadn't remembered before. But like mine is the bathroom thing. When I go to Mall World and you go down this really long hallway, and there's a couple of doors and most of them are locked, and the only one that wants to open is like this big massive bathroom, and it's just nasty. The nastiness in that bathroom stops me from going into that room. I can
Mm,
see at the other side of the room there's another door with an exit sign, which clearly goes somewhere, but I can't bring myself to do it because I got to cross that dirty bathroom. And we're talking like overflowing toilets and poop on the floor.
right.
which again
So,
is so bizarre because my bathroom experiences were different, and my fears of these things maybe came from a different place as those types of bad things and fears ended up in these fancy places with rich people. That's the only thing I can make sense of because everyone seems to have these dirty toilet experiences. And I'm like, the only experiences I've
Well,
had
I have.
are these massive, grandiose, like full of gold and white marble and just ridiculousness everywhere. And that just goes on for days and days, and everything's so
oh
fancy
shit.
and pristine. But anyways, the director of that is Kane Parsons, and his channel is Kane Pixels.
Okay. So
So
already you guys are speaking to something that's really nuanced, not really, maybe not really related, or I haven't figured out how it is yet. But I'm anticipating this to tie into an experience I had this morning, which was shared with someone else that I met in the truther community. Sorry to cut you off there, Shannon.
no, no.
uh, I just wanted to chime in just on that element before we move past it. But I had a dream last night, and I don't dream. I haven't dreamed. I have one every 3 years. You know what I mean? Like I get 3 to 5 hours sleep a night for about 13 years now. And yeah, I know that sounds weird, but I don't think I'm alone in that. Uh, and I had a dream last night. This experience started around maybe a little after 1 in the morning, where I was going back and forth in voice texts with my dear friend Angela from Australia. And I said, this is like, they're long texts. I said, just call me. She called me and we talked till 4 in the morning. And I feel like we had such an iron on iron experience that it was just blew me away. And, with respect to the scriptures and all the things, lots of things going on and stuff. And, so I had this dream. I went to bed. I didn't even get into REM sleep, and I had just fell into this deep, I don't even know. I had this horrible nightmare, and it speaks a little to what you were saying about the bathroom, because ultimately that's where it ended up. So I was uh, talking to this guy. I don't know how I came into contact. I remember quite a bit of it for a dream, because I generally don't remember much of it, especially after I wake up and I've been up for an hour or more. But I could say a little bit about it. This guy, I was trying to, I don't know how we came together, but I was feeling like I was becoming part of his group on the inside. I was protected, but something told me like as it went on, this guy was kind of nefarious, but I didn't know, I didn't have any spiritual wherewithal to even like part ways with it. And I just felt like, oh, I'm good. I'm okay. And then at some point, I believe he's like, well, I got a whole group of guys that want to meet you. And I didn't think much of that, I guess, probably until I found myself at one point in this dream waking up uh, going into this room, and it turned out to be like a bathhouse, and there was no indication of that going into this room. It was just I opened a door, or it was a breezeway. I don't think there was a door. I came up to it and I went in. It's all tile, floor, walls, ceiling, everything, and there's all these naked men in there staring at me. And I don't know, you know, my subconscious was working away on this thing, so I didn't have any connection to like who I'm becoming or my journey, consciously speaking, so to say. So I didn't see anything necessarily wrong leading up to it. But as soon as I seen all these naked men, I knew exactly right. My conscious mind lent something to my subconscious mind, and I knew what was up. And I'm like, no, I ain't having this. I'm out of here. And I tried to leave, and the guy says, no, no. He came in the breezeway right behind me, and he's like, you're not going anywhere. You're coming in here. And he grabbed me by the arm and he started to push me into this room full of naked men in the shower. I'm like, no way, man, I'm not having this. So somehow, because it's a dream, I managed to just pull away. I didn't have to fight, or I don't remember. I do remember swinging at a guy with my left, but not actually preparing for that. I was already overextended, and it was a swing and a miss. So I ended up getting away, and I think I got outside somehow, and there was somebody else in the dream. I can't remember who, but I jumped in the car with him, and we escaped and went to maybe a hotel, I think. Got out and seen these guys were following us, and they just went by or whatever. And then I woke up and I was just like terrified. I woke up feeling so emotionally disturbed by this, and I laid there thinking, holy crap, what the hell's going on? Am I going to be able to go back to sleep? And if I do, I don't want to go back into this dream. But it took me probably 5 minutes, 10 minutes to drift off again. And as soon as I did, it wasn't a reoccurring dream. This actually picked up right where it left off. Like I didn't have to go and do this overlapping thing over and over and over again, as dreams sort of do in my experience. It just picked up where it left off, and this was the continuation of this thing. And so now I'm realizing in my sleep, like, what were you thinking? Why did you stay here? They know where you were, because all of a sudden these cars all pull up and they're at the same time, and they're coming to get me. And that's when I realized, like, why did you stay here? You had a chance. You could have, they marked you. You should have left, right? But I stayed. And so I woke up again at some point in this, trying to escape. And I thought, holy crap, how is this happening? And I went to sleep a third time. It's like 9:22 in the morning, but I had just gone to bed at 4 in the morning. And I wanted to get a couple more sleep, another hour sleep. So I turned my alarm off and turned on another one for like 11, something after 11. And then I slept again, and again, I don't remember this part, but I remember waking up after the third part feeling even worse than the first two times, and just unreal. And then I caught this thing about the Noahide laws are now being implemented everywhere. And my morning, before I even got one eye off the pillow, my one eye's, as usual, taking in the worst stuff I'm going to see today, first thing in the morning. So that just set me right off the bat. So I'm trying to, and then I'm going downtown to get some plant, seeds for my garden. I come back home and I'm trying to follow up with all the stuff I haven't really followed up with so many people, because I'm just becoming part of so many different circles now. And I go into Messenger and I see Angela sent me. Well, first one I go to, see what Angela's got to say. And right off the bat, Angela's telling me she had this worst nightmare last night. And before I had even seen this, I was thinking, this has something to do with our discussion last night. And I felt like it was a demonic attack, because I just hadn't been sleeping long enough to even get into REM state. So she sort of confided a few things to me that were quite hard to take for somebody. Like, she's going, like, through so many of us, everything seems to be coming apart at once. Like, I mean, I speak to myself for myself on that one, but I know it's from the things she conveyed to me too. There's some serious things where you can't do anything about your family. You're stuck, you're ostracized. You can't tell anything to them because they think you're crazy already. They might admit you. So you're just surrounded by people that supposedly are your family that should love you and you love them, but yet they are no better off. They're no better than someone who's out to get you or a stranger or something. And I just thought it was so profound that she had this dream too, because before she said that, I felt like this was something to do with our conversation last night and they weren't happy about it or something else going on. And both of us were like stricken with this. And this is the first dream I've had in years. And I had only been sleeping for not very long to get into that. So I found that very, very interesting. So I'm just waiting for nuances to sort of tie into that. And as you guys are talking already, I'm kind of it'll come. Yeah, I'm gonna listen, and I know this is gonna probably tie. I think it's been given another name, like so many things are given,
Right,
different descriptions to throw us off of things that we would probably characterize differently. You know,
right,
and it's like there's elements. It's like you said that the way this thing's written in a labyrinth kind of way. There's just it's a bit of a mess.
right. It's
Eh,
ancient. It's like this has something to do with the inner demons, your inner trauma, and and constantly being re-traumatized in this fashion,
Right.
and I mean, I don't know if any of you guys ever saw the movie Labyrinth with David Bowie back in the
Hmm.
80s, but
Yeah, it was weird.
it it it's the same thing. It's all liminal space. These labyrinths, there are entrances that you have no idea exist, but it's like an optical illusion and you can walk through walls. There things change all the time in the maze. It never stays solid. Things are take you places that are scary and with monsters, and it's all to throw off this girl for the purpose of saving her brother, because they want to turn this child into a goblin. They want to take the child and sacrifice the child. And she's trying to get the child back, but is constantly being thrown off to face the original fear, which he ends up having this moment with her that it's like, you know, worship me, do all this, and I'll give you everything. All you have to do is worship me. And in the end, she says, you have no power over me. And that's when it all disintegrates.
Oh
So
yeah,
there's
that's
something
interesting.
to these back rooms. And I thought about this. You know how we've been going down this line with the mirrors?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
What if
Yeah.
that is one of the access points to
Yeah.
these
Doorways.
Yeah.
spaces?
Portal
Well, see,
doorway.
in
Yeah.
and when you talk about the whole mirror concept that we've gone through, and Clayton's been down this road with us on the mirror thing,
Mhm.
back in the up until 100s and some beyond. But if people had mirrors in their home, they covered them with a dark cloth before dark.
Mhm.
Mirrors were to never be uncovered after dark. And if there was a death in the family, they stayed covered for many days because they felt that if you think about an object, there is a positive and a negative. And a mirror
Yeah.
is the negative space of the positive that you're in. Every negative has to have a positive. So
Yeah.
if that's your negative and that's your doorway, have you ever seen the thing about true mirrors? What a true mirror is?
Hmm.
Mm,
Okay, the
would that
mirrors that
be a perfect mirror, like no derivations in the surface, like over a certain cross section of it? I know in the old days they would reject a mirror if it wasn't within a millimeter per meter squared or something like that.
No. This has a whole different appearance. Like you don't. All right, hang on. Let me see if I can find one. The mirrors that we have and the way the reflection kind of works on them and the way your eyes perceive it. The way the
Oh,
mirror is
okay.
built
Yeah.
and the way your eyes perceive it. It is not a true reflection of us. They
Yeah.
have these true mirrors which are built, and there are a lot of people that look at themselves in these true mirrors, and actually it brings them to tears.
Okay.
Like this is the trick. It's like instead of looking at a flat image, they feel as though they're looking into their own soul. True mirrors are not cheap.
Which sounds like the old mirrors, like the descriptions of how people can, what the vision of them looked like.
Non-reversing mirror is what it's called.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Too, they made those mirrors too back then with different elements like mercury and what was the other element?
Silver.
Silver. And,
Silver's.
Mercury,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, and this is alchemic,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
that ritual is more than likely used within the
Hmm.
craftsmanship of that device, because I consider it a device.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays it's not the same method, but does that really mean it doesn't do the same thing? I
Well,
mean,
everybody says that when they look into this mirror, they become emotional. And it's okay, I guess the way our eyes perceive, okay, the vision in our eyes, when your eyes first interpret it, it's actually upside down. Well, your eyes
Yeah.
invert it. Well, it does the same thing left to right, just like a camera does. It's showing the
Yeah.
opposite of what it actually is. Left is right and right is left. But these mirrors don't do that. So you are truly looking at yourself because, and
That's
this is
very
when you're
interesting.
looking in a mirror, you have looked at yourself in a mirror your whole life on a daily. You brush your teeth, you're whatever, you're in the mirror. You
yeah,
know where every little wrinkle, where every scar, where every freckle is on your face.
right.
When other people see you, they don't see what you see. It's like
Yeah.
you bake and decorate a cake. When you decorate it yourself, and Shannon, you know this, you will see every single flaw that
Yes.
is on that cake. Like every boo boo that you made. Nobody else knows about those boo boos. When they see that cake, to them, it's just magnificent. They're never going to see the errors because they don't understand it was an error.
Yeah.
On your
Yeah.
reflection, all you see are your errors. Other people don't see those. So, what
Yeah.
you see of yourself and what other people see you as are two totally different things.
So what if it was a portal, and if you looked at it in terms of what's on the other side of the glass, looking through and seeing you as you see you? And that's why everything's reversed, not upside down, but from left to right. Because that's the interesting concept, I believe, with the mirror is that it's not said to so much, the upside down comes to mind in terms of like when you say everything's inverted vertically. But I don't believe that happens with the mirror, which is interesting. There's an interesting video take I've got somewhere that kind of goes through it. It's a little confusing and weird, but um, it kind of gets into that. And I swear on some of these dating apps or somewhere that I've been on over the years, I've noticed when people I've seen pictures like with girls or some, with like a nose ring. And it's like, okay, if I put myself in their position, spin myself around, that's on the right side of, their body. But the the it's on the wrong side. And I don't know if that's my memory and I'm making that up or imagining something, but I feel like I've seen that where it gives the appearance that the nose ring is actually, even if you spun yourself around, it looks like it's on the left side of their face in other pictures. And it's like, wait a minute. I don't know how that works, but when you take a selfie and you do it like, you know, in a camera, you've got a lens, you've got elements of glass that
Right.
probably have to correct and then recorrect and then recorrect. The more elements you put in there, One puts it right, the next one puts it wrong, the next one puts it right,
All right.
the
Well,
next
can
one
you
puts
see
it
the screen,
wrong.
Clayton? Watch this.
Yeah.
We have that same ability.
Whoa. Okay, what did you just do there?
Just she just mirrored it. I can do the same thing.
Wow. Okay.
Like, oh, wrong button. Dang it.
So
Okay,
see, like my
so
shirt,
that's your left
if I
hand.
don't have the well, my hair's in the way. If I don't
Okay.
have my camera in the right direction, when you see it, you won't be able to read it because it'll be backwards.
Right. Yeah, so that's this correction that's done probably with another element, which
And
is
that
another
is
piece of
mirroring the camera so that it will show you true image, so to speak.
yeah. Yeah. So the optics in your eyeball, when the light goes in, here comes the sigil of Lucifer also, which is very, very interesting in terms of deception and your lying eyes. Daniel would really probably say something about this. He speaks to this in terms of the two liars. And um, dang it, I lost my train of thought just like that. Boom. Let me get that back.
Shannon did it.
So yeah, so your ocular stuff, whatever's going on in your eyeball, takes something in this world, right? Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, they say. Nothing is as it seems, they say. You know, I can't really speak to what that means in the world because I've never had the lenses to invert everything to what is our eye correcting if like, you know, trees aren't rooted in the ground and everything seems to be right side up. It's really weird, but when you take a I have a mirror, I have two mirrors in my bathroom and I haven't covered either one of them yet. I discovered a whole bunch more in the basement. I'm like, something's driving me, killing my ambition to cover them now. I did it once and I was like ambitious as all hell to do it. Then after I did that, something fell off and I had no ambition and something's stopping me. There's like a spirit of inaction preventing me from just it feels like work.
Did you
And I
bless the
just don't
house
want
like
to
I
do it.
asked you to do?
No, no, but you know what? Angela
Clayton.
last night, she Shannon, last night, Angela brought up Psalm 91 to me. And I was like,
See, I
whoa,
told
whoa,
you.
wait a minute, wait a minute. And so then I told her the whole story about how you and I had a conversation just the day before. And, you were consoling me through a lot of stuff. And
Okay,
I was
now
really
let me explain
concerned.
to you that Psalm 91 that I told you about.
Hmm.
Okay, you know the friend that I've been talking to, that you know what I mean, that we were talking about the other
Yeah,
day?
yeah. Hmm.
That friend is the one that told me to tell you Psalm 91.
Okay.
That
Isn't
wasn't
that
just
something?
any friend, it's that friend.
Wow. The plot, it just gets more and more bizarre, this world, I tell you. It's awesome. And these might be the back rooms to where you can't speak to these things. You open a door. I don't know, like it's just like Shannon says, everything's dynamic and always changing. Your view of everything's changing. The thing you're viewing is changing, so you can't get a grasp on the deeper you get into things and discover these things, the more questions are answered than anything, and it just opens up more confounding. But in my bathroom, that mirror, the one I have over my sink, it has the two folding mirrors on the side and an opening cabinet, two doors, two that open for the medicine cabinet, and then the one on the behind me solid. But if I move to the side and I angled out of those side mirrors a little bit or whatever, and I can manage to catch my reflection in the mirror I'm facing, in the mirror behind me. And then if I want to, I can look deeper and deeper and deeper into the reflection of the reflection of the reflection of the reflection, which telescopes down and down and down so small that I can't really see any detail. It gets very, really small. And sometimes I had this thought a while ago. This is kind of off topic, weird, but I thought, if you could peer through enough of those mirrors, from one mirror to the next mirror, back and forth. And it seems to go further and further away too, and smaller, like tunnel vision to the, I don't know if they call that the Venturi effect or something else, like train tracks coming together over a long distance. But it's like, would you maybe see something there standing there? y- You know,
Mm.
um, I don't know where to take that, but I just thought that's interesting. And I think like, maybe there could be something to be discovered in the cancellation and then recreation of this effect over and over and over through looking through mirrors of different configurations and stuff like that. Because your eyes
I've
act
got,
as a lens, and the mirror does the same thing with your eyes. Your eyes are correcting something, and the mirror is distorting something. So like there's this weird relationship there that I can't really say a whole lot about because this is kind of new to me and I haven't touched it a whole lot.
well, Shannon keeps getting kicked out and back in, and I don't know. She
Yeah.
says she's got gremlins. That's not unusual for us anymore. But
No.
the whole mirror thing, I've gotten to the point because you and I don't know when we get on this mirror thing. What, 2 3 months ago, first of the year.
Yeah.
So after I remember that night, we stayed on the phone till like 2 o'clock in the morning talking about freaking mirrors.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
would blow people's mind to hear the conversations that me and Clayton or me and Shannon or whatever that we all have. It's like some of this stuff,
Mhm.
it just, you're
It
like,
blows my mind.
what?
Yeah.
But
It blows
I,
my
d-
mind.
I try to avoid mirrors now, which if you
Yeah, me
think
too.
about as far as sin, a mirror would relate to vanity.
Whoa.
See,
Whoa. Even in the
because,
etymology. In the etymology, what is it called? That thing under your mirror in the bathroom. It's called a vanity.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Hmm. Hmm. Just wanted to make light of that because I think you were talking about actual like being vain. You know,
right,
people stare at mirrors because they're obsessed with themselves.
right.
People take 1,000 selfies in a month,
Oh
and
man, the whole, and this is the thing. I understand to a certain extent. We're all grown ups here. I understand when you're single, you're like, you're like constantly putting yourself out there.
yeah,
And why?
lost in the backrooms of deception of the world, like what you think the
It,
construct is supposed to be,
it's just
idolization of
this,
things.
everybody's dopamine, serotonin now is dependent upon social media and how many likes they get and how many
Yeah.
comments they got. And it's just, it's absolutely, I got to turn the camera off because I'm trying to help Shannon now. But it's, she's restarting her computer.
Oh yeah, maybe that would help if I did the same, eh? Even though there's
I
not
don't think
many
it's you. It's something going on
details
her end.
there.
She's good. She just keeps losing sound.
Oh,
But
okay.
they're all consumed with the attention, which
Yeah.
is vanity.
Yeah.
And I personally think a lot of this plastic surgery ties into vanity. Like
Oh, absolutely.
you're completely concerned about everybody else's opinion of you. The one you have to
Mhm.
worry about is your own.
Yeah.
And worrying about, and that's one of the things about our show is we really don't care what other people's opinion of us are.
No.
Like I know who I am. I know what my moral fiber is. I know, you know what I mean? I know.
Yeah.
I know who I am. And if you don't like me, that's fine. That's your prerogative, boo boo. But I tell you what pays the bills, it's haters.
Yeah.
You want to talk trash, talk trash. You want to be ugly in comments, by all means, boo boo. You just kicking my feed right on up to the top. I mean, if you got 12 haters, if you ain't got 16 by the end of the summer, you ain't doing something right.
Yeah.
Because for
No,
every
that's
good
right.
there is
That's
evil.
right. And you
Well,
live
I
in a
mean, that's
worldly
the way I
world.
look at it. If I'm
Yeah.
not pissing somebody off, I'm not doing my job.
Yeah. No, because you're not of the world. You're in the world, but you're not to be of the world, and you're not of the world. You're coming. We're hating this more and more. We're learning what this place is, and this temporal existence on this terrestrial plane of it is finite and it's superficial. It's a proving grounds perhaps among other things, but it's very deceptive and it's just fake. And everybody's been trained on this thing to be distracted. This backrooms thing kind of segues into all these angles in the sense that you almost call that sidelining, like where they're trying to steer you off of the truth with all this constant deception of this, that, and the other. But you don't worry about what people think about you because part of something in you, I would argue, knows that you're going to be exonerated in the end. And there is a level of in the spiritual sense, there is an infinite. either burning in hellfire or in something good, but it's to be forever.
Well, see,
And these people are all going to know that on the day of judgment, or even shortly before, when all of us Christians are rounded up. People are going to start increasingly waking up to, like, why is that? Why would they want to get rid of these people who have been screaming from the rooftops about all this stuff that we can also see happening? And it's going to create a bit of an awakening there, in a sense, I think, where seculars and atheists are going to start to reconsider things. There'll be a lot of a remnant that never will, no matter what they see, right down to when they see God coming upon the earth. But,
well,
you know,
and sadly, I see part of the people that are never gonna wake up
yeah, yeah,
as the people who have gone to church their whole life.
yep, 100%. And that's the
They've
whole
been going into that
indoctrination.
building their whole life, and
Hmm.
you're going into a building and you're sitting there with somebody who has no I don't know how to put it, no drive, no need to seek more information.
Yeah,
They have
100%.
this King James version of a Bible in front of them, and that's the only thing they're going to talk about. They're not going to talk about anything supernatural, or it's a
Yeah,
concept to them. It's not a reality.
yeah,
And
exactly.
that's one of the top 10 problems with the concept of the Bible that was handed to us. They took out everything of that Bible that was supernatural
Yeah, yeah,
and tried to
yeah.
make us
And
believe that.
whitewashed it.
Yeah, they basically tried to make us believe that there was nothing supernatural or spiritual about it. These were
Yeah,
people, they lived, they died, they were kings. Jesus, you know, bam, that's your Bible. It was very cut and dry.
yep,
And I think those people who are of that cut and dry religion, and I'm putting, wait a minute, hang on,
yeah,
wait, religion in a church are going to be the ones that don't question it. They think they know everything and that we're
yeah,
good because we showed up to church, on Sunday morning and we put 10% in and we didn't hurt nobody.
yeah. Yeah, it's
But
been built in, trained in, and it sort of says like the atheist is actually more likely to become a Christian than some of these who've been just indoctrinated and programmed to the point where they have to deprogram now. They don't just, discover things as someone who has a clean slate. Like some atheists are just simply people that just don't have any spiritual wherewithal. They're spiritually dead in the moment. And I think that can change easier for them.
it does. I was an atheist a few years
Yeah,
ago.
and I see this a lot actually. People say,
And
I was an
I I
atheist. And
I was raised in a we went to church. My best friend's mom, she goes to church every time the doors open. And so that was just kind of the required thing, if I stayed with my best friend, we went to church on Sunday morning. Then I kind of like
yeah,
being a part of the youth group. I went off and on as a teenager, less as a teenager and a young adult. It's where I was
yeah,
raised. I'd heard the stories in the Bible, the version that they wanted us to hear. And then I went through cancer and a heart attack and a divorce. And I watched after I had cancer, I got involved with this children's charity where we made blankets for sick kids. And part of me being a chapter chairman was when we made all these blankets, you had to take them to the hospital and deliver them. And I'm standing in a hospital with a whole floor at a medical university that is just full of small children up under the age of 12 that are riddled with cancer. And
yeah,
so at this point in my mind, spiritually, I said, how can a God allow this, our God, allow this to take place with children?
yeah.
And I just couldn't understand it after everything that had happened to me. I mean, I'm like surgery 20 something now.
Right.
And, hysterectomy, cancer, heart attack, car accident. I'm like, no, there can't be a higher power. And somebody else told me I should told me since I was such a nerd, I should go check out the history. Like, go prove what you can and can't prove in the Bible. Can you prove Noah? Geographically, geologically, scientifically. And I
Yeah,
could.
yeah.
And from
Secularly,
that
yeah,
point, that person suggested, okay, go find something else in the Bible, find that same scientific evidence. And I could. And so then
Yeah.
I started seeing it from a history book standpoint. And the more I got into it, the more spiritual I become.
Yeah.
I'll fight you over some Jesus today. I will kick you in your shin. Talk trash about my man and see if I don't kick you in your shin. Just
That's
saying.
so crazy. You just said some of the same things Angela said last night. The same thing, like when somebody calls you out for bringing up the name Jesus. You're now offending me because Jesus is now in me, and I take that seriously. And then there was
But
something
see,
else you
this is
said
my
too.
thing. If I say something about Jesus to somebody and it offends them, well, I rebuke you because evidently you full of demon.
Yeah,
That's
that's
just
right.
the way I see it.
Yeah.
Because I'm
No,
telling
that's
you,
right.
I've had some one-on-one experiences with a demon walking a meat suit.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
there, Shannon? I'm sorry, we got to chit-chatting.
Yes, I am here.
Good.
I
Yeah.
I'm under I'm under attack at the moment. So
Well, somehow we got from Backrooms to Jesus, but whoop whoop, that's how it
Well, I
goes around
think you
here.
kind of,
number one, no matter what. So
yeah, maybe they've skewed our interpretation of the demon. What is the demon? Possession, rather. Possession, outright possession. And there might be different forms of possession, or you could just leave that with demonic influence, just to leave that open and sort of
Well,
leave the
see,
doors open to not characterize it and have like stigma around it. But when you say that, I believe it's 100% true in the feeling of it, where the truth offends people. And when Jesus said, I am the truth, the life, and the way, which I mentioned to Angela last night, I think he meant, I find that a very profound statement on so many levels. If because what I see more and more, and I've said this to people, I say, if you could be a fly on the wall and be here at the end, you'll realize that everything on this planet is faked. And if it's not fake, if it looks even real, somewhere in its lineage, it's been predicated on a lie. So even if the thing you're looking at seems, for all intents and purposes in the moment, very real, you could chase that back to find out that it was built on a foundation of lies often. And when he said, I'm the truth, the life, and the way, I see that as I am the only truth that ever walked upon this earth. And I am the only way to the life, which is the everlasting life with the Father. And nobody gets to the Father but by me. And so when I talk to God, I catch myself saying the word God, and I go to Jesus. I switch that up and I talk to Jesus, because Jesus is our intercessor and Satan is our accuser. And Satan is putting things out there for us to tempt us so that he can go back to the courts and say, look, this guy pissed, he stole my crayon, he's doing this, doing that, doing this, doing that, whatever. And Jesus says, if you've got the full armor and you if you love me, obey my commandments. I don't know, 15, 20 times somewhere throughout the Bible, he says this. And he's there defending you he's pleading your case to God, as I understand it, to if you're walking in, if you're selected or whatever. But that gets a little gray in terms of what all that means. But the church, I think, could segue into the thing that I said originally in here, to do with what I felt I see sort of going on in all of that, is the church becomes like, you start out with the right reasons. It's like safety in the construction industry. It starts out about safety, but then people realize how much bloody money is to be made on safety, and how much manipulation and how much control you can get into society, even as a metric. So you're going to see cameras in cars. You're now going to see, as I shared yesterday, apparently they're passing legislation or trying to build into the models an automatic, as soon as you touch the steering wheel, it detects your thumbprint. As soon as you get in there, it looks at your eyes. It can actually pierce your skin, and actually, instead of breathalyzing you, it can actually use electromagnetism to penetrate your skin and see biometrically what's going on in there, if there's indicators of you being intoxicated. So there's no way around it, and it's going to verify who you are, if you're allowed to drive. It's going to be a number of things. But the church, people go to church for the right reasons, right? People get into church to find God, or because or they're brought into there through the family, thinking, this is what we're going to do, and they don't get a proper explanation of it. They just fall into it, and they never do really think about that component. And right off the bat, maybe they have a skewed view of what the church should be and the whole concept of Christianity, so to say. And so then you find, after time, you're just going through the motions, and the church becomes this back room. Like, it's not, it's for the wrong reasons, and it becomes habitual, right? It's just It's this habitual thing you just do, and you don't even know why you're doing it, and you never gain the wisdom to maybe recollect on that and go back and say, why am I going to church? Am I doing it? Like, what's wrong? Is there something wrong here? Because it's rinse and repeat. You don't get into the scriptures. As a Catholic, I believe it was Shannon or someone else pointed out to me that you're not even allowed to read the scriptures
Yeah, it's
without a minister reading it to
not
you,
a priest.
because they
Oh
don't want you to discover what it is that is all about.
yeah, I'm gonna turn the camera off. Sorry, I
Hmm.
was
I
trying to
hear you.
test the camera to see if it. I'm just gonna have to be low frequency
Well, you're
today.
5 by 5 so far. I've seen you moving, and I hear you clearly on this end, but I don't know what kind of feedback you're getting there.
Oh man, all kinds of wacky stuff is going on this side. So
Everything is wackadoodle on this show, man. It's the
Gremlins.
gremlins attacking.
but you know,
Demons. Little reptiles.
this is my
Mm-hmm.
question, right? Kind of bringing it a little bit back to the back rooms, but intertwining it with this, you know, subject matter. As you see, this is an ancient thing. It's not like it's not new, as nothing new is under the sun,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
it has morphed and changed throughout time or throughout people's
In its
perception
forms.
of
Yeah.
time and its forms. And what I'm curious is to when this metaverse nonsense and more of this consciousness entrapment is available and active, are we going to be maybe trapped in a liminal space, in this ancient space? And what is it going to look like? Is it the metaverse that they're
Oh
trying
boy.
to control?
Well, this is where I could take it right out in the left field because of Metatron and the confounding concept of the Merkaba and what I think I might see there, and it just might go too far into the weeds. But yeah, I think their intention is to trap our souls
Because I mean,
and digitize our consciousness.
they've obviously been using this throughout time in these ritualistic manners of keeping our trauma and perpetuating our trauma. So it is a physical thing, and it is, in a sense, a metaphysical thing all in
Hmm.
one. But if this place already exists, is this where they are building the metaverse in this liminal trauma space?
Is it a dimension then?
You can
Are
never
you
really
speaking to a sort of a different dimension?
right, like because as I mentioned earlier, the Greeks have always called it the thin places. There are other cultures, I can't remember what they would call it, but many cultures around the world speak of these backrooms, this liminal space, these labyrinths, and in the construct of what we have as our generational society has begun to culminate these back rooms as is there like these office spaces with horrific fluorescent lighting. Everything's this god awful yellow that just gives you creeps as you look around. It's lonely, and it just goes on for days, and there's all these rooms that don't make sense, and there's just all these things, but there's things that work in our generational time. There's things that we recognize that give us that uncanny feeling that
Yeah,
we
nuanced. Yeah.
understand in our present day.
Yeah.
Whereas this, if it's ancient, this goes along with all these different generations who have been in this space and how it forms into your thoughts, your world, your trauma. So is this where they are going to trap us? Is this what they're constructing Mall World from?
Well, see, what I worry about the mall world and the back rooms is in this horror image in my mind. You know, the Matrix, when you Neo and them, you know, they're plugged up and they're in these pods. Is that mall world and back room? Is that something to trap our mind in while you got us plugged up in the Matrix?
Everybody's having some digital consciously linked um, universal, what do you call that, lucid dream. And so you're connected through this lucid dream through some kind of, yeah, if your mind was attuned to frequency, which it is, but more so, I would just maybe for, purpose of making it a little easier to understand, but like if your thoughts could be converted into electricity, you could be wired up in a series or a parallel, actually, rather, like with everyone else, and having shared nuanced
But what if they
feelings
figured
about
out how to do
things.
that through sound frequency that causes hemisync in your brain? Then you're back to the
Right,
gifted and talented program and what they done to us as kids.
right. Are they trying
Because
to
see,
figure out how to get back to the original language? You know what I mean, Roxy? Like before the languages were confounded, are they trying to discover how they can develop telepathy by using people and putting them into hemisync? Because maybe that's how God unwound all of that, or broke that down, was by dividing one hemisphere from the other.
That would make sense.
You
But
know,
in a way, wouldn't that also kind of, and maybe that even is back to the original fall to begin with?
yeah, yeah.
And
Well,
then,
with Babylon, yeah,
but that makes sense though, because, you know, a big thing is what we can only use 10-15% of our brain.
that's what they tell us. Yeah, yeah,
That's what they tell us. And obviously,
and it could
we
be
have
true.
much more capacity for that. And we know that a lot of that is suppressed on purpose.
Hmm.
But, you know, it's obvious that they know it's there, higher levels than others or whatever. There are different purposes in everyone that I'm sure they have use for, obviously. But they they don't want us to know that. And you know, God
Yeah,
had kept us from that for a long time, but in this whole you know, lifting of the veil stuff, us becoming more and more close to the end, closer to Jesus, our relationships with Jesus, I believe, as a whole, uh, for us who have been saved, get stronger and stronger every day with all this insanity. And,
yeah.
you know, I just feel like
Hmm.
they have been manipulating it so much to where they have the access, they have the rights to it,
Yeah,
they can utilize it however they want to.
exactly.
They don't want us to utilize it.
Yeah,
But
it's
it was
like they
not
have.
something we were supposed to have put together up until a certain time.
Yeah, and this could be God waking us all up in
Right.
his own very, very controlled way of rationing things as he knows we can understand them. So you get your daily downloads, and he doesn't expose you to more than you can handle. Every day builds upon the last, and you get new lenses every day where you can actually go re-review things, and they make more sense in this new light because of what you've come to learn. And part of me tells me, like, what you're saying, it reminds me of this feeling I've been having lately about, in at least some terms of what they've hidden from us, what they've kept from us, that they themselves, they have that knowledge. It's in the Vatican. They've passed it down through these traditions of men, perhaps. And so, like, those people in the secret societies are privy to this knowledge, the ones that are very, very high up, not even close to most of them, but they direct everything under them. They rule it, manage it, and it's a need to know basis. And all their operatives are given a certain amount of knowledge, but somebody at the very top knows what we are. We don't have the box we've been given a million piece puzzle here, and we don't know if all the pieces are there unless we can count to a million. We don't know what the box looked like. We don't know what that picture's supposed to look like. But we're all putting these little packets together, like little patches here. And as you start, it's like so slow to even find a piece to put to another piece. But then you make maybe 5 pieces together here. Okay, that looks like almost like something. And then you go and you create another little patchwork over here. And then, okay. And then after a while, you can have only 10% of that puzzle complete. But the cross section of it, throughout the scape of it, indicates the theme of it. So it's like, okay, this is a landscape. This isn't like in the city. You can see there's flowers, there's part of water, so there's water in it, there's this, there's that. So you have the general concept of this is a landscape for one. And oh, there's a little bridge in here. So you can start to see the overall picture without actually having any clue about what it's supposed to look like yet. And that's just the gift you've been given as a high discerning individual with, the gifts you've been given because you've requested that. And so they know what you are the one. They can't do what you're doing, but they know what you don't know what they know, right? You're having to do this on your own. Nobody gave you a picture of that puzzle. You're doing it through what God's giving you and your own interpretation and discernment of the world, but you don't know what the picture's supposed to be in the end. They do. And they don't have the gift that what you have, where you can just put together things without any evidence even. And so they're trying to gather from us, perhaps, without us knowing what it is in us that gives us these abilities, because they don't have that, but they know what it's supposed to look like in the end, if that makes any sense. And it's like we're going to put it together, what they already kind of know but don't know, and they have no wherewithal, they have no way to do that. We're doing it on our own out of nothing because we have the gift from God to have the insight and put this stuff together in little fragmented pieces. And then you can take all those things and you can start after a while to stitch together things in the world that nobody can understand well in advance. You can see this stuff coming, and they're trying to use us as pawns through this discovery period that we're having to verify or fill in the blanks for them as to how we're even able to do this with no picture of what that puzzle's supposed to even look like by just what they're revealing, if that makes any sense. They've got part of it. We've got the ability. They've got these secrets in the texts, like you say, that's been kept from us. It's deeply spiritual. I would argue 95% of this world is spiritual, but we are, like in physics, they say 5% of the entire universe is the physical stuff. And then everything else is made up by antimatter and dark matter and whatnot. And it's like the spiritual is actually, everything I look at now is spiritual, or it's just a construct. It's a physical manifestation of something that's actually spiritual. Spiritual comes first. Physicality takes a back seat to that. It's the creation of it. And so as you start to separate from your flesh and you start to realize that you have to get closer to the spirit, you have to reject the flesh because it's all fake. And as you reject the flesh, you start to realize that the only way to get to the spirit is by rejecting all the flesh, and it rejects you back. This is your peers. This is all the people out there that think you're crazy because they don't have this same gift, but they also don't have what these people at the top have, which is the secret texts, where we might even be allowed biblically to invoke guidance from archangels. But it's been dirtied up so much that, I don't know. It's a weird thing, this thing, but it's going to tie a lot together.
The Catholics like to actually keep that information quite tight about that.
Yeah. And they practice demonology a lot.
Well,
too.
when you talk
They're
about
right
the
into
gatekeeping of knowledge,
Yeah.
or gatekeeping of money, gatekeeping of power,
Vatican.
People need to understand in their mind. This is the way I see it. You don't have to see it this way. This is the way I see it. You got these we're gonna call them preachers, for lack of a better word, at some of these churches. And then you got people in entertainment industries, the music business in Hollywood. There are gatekeepers. You don't get to get access to this information unless I say so.
Yeah, like you can't even read the Bible yourself.
Right. That's your priest. It's like there's not supposed to be a middleman between you and your Father in heaven.
apparently the only way you can actually get kicked out of ministry as a priest in the Catholic Church is to tell your congregation that you don't need a priest. You can have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ yourself. That's the only time. The only people who have ever been kicked out of the church in recent generations have been for that. But you could diddle anybody and just be
Yeah.
transferred.
Right.
You can do
Right.
just about
All
it.
right, well, now down here in the South, because, I'm in the Bible Belt of America down here, you cannot be a Southern Baptist preacher and be a Freemason.
Interesting.
I didn't know that
That's
until a while
interesting.
back, but like if you're it's not to say that they don't like it, they don't want it, and like when
That's
they're
interesting.
interviewing pastors or preachers for their church, like if you got one that moves or passes or whatever, that's like that's a major question with them.
I feel like Peter Ruckman was from that area. And there's something you said there that just reminded me of Peter Ruckman, I think. Because I think he was a Southern Baptist. And they talk a lot about William Tyndale, this guy who'd walk into a bar and convert everybody. Strippers, you name it. They all come out as Christians.
Wait, wasn't I swear sorry, I don't mean to swear, but I know that John Todd. I think that was the
Yeah.
guy who actually and went in and was like all about trying to save him and
Yeah.
met
I
him in
think
a
you're right.
bookstore and just started praying at him and telling him that all of these things were going to fall away and he was going to end up coming to Jesus and it all ended up
Yeah.
happening. I think that's the guy.
I think it sounds familiar, but I'm curious and I don't know if I've seen it. I think I've seen hints at it, but I haven't sought it out yet. But I think Johnny Todd might have been delivered by Fritz Springmeier.
Ah,
But I think there was some videos I've watched because I've watched probably 15 of every Johnny Todd tape out there,
right.
the tapes and stuff and
Over and
interviews and
over.
whatnot. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I do believe he mentions either, I think he mentions Peter Ruckman
I know he does. Like I know he does. I
in
know
that
he does.
sense. Yeah.
and that
Peter Ruckman.
guy.
Yeah, Peter Ruckman though, I started out listening to this guy called Gene Kim, this Asian guy, but that's where I fell in before I fell into the Hebrew roots deception. I fell into the dispensational, not Zionism, because it's sneaky, it's subtle, but I fell into this dispensationalism just by the definition that was given by Gene, what dispensationalism is, and that's just different dispensations of time, people groups. This part of the Bible's talking to this subset of people, not everybody. And this part of the Bible's speaking to this subset group over here, and maybe some of the other people. And then this can also apply to those times and future times, or one or the other. And these are all just different dispensations. So by the definition that I understood dispensationalism, I thought it made good sense. And so I followed this guy and I listened to it for a while, and I just sort of went from him into he was, a protege of, he looked up to Peter Ruckman. So I was like, well, I'm going to go over and I'll start listening to Peter Ruckman. And then I went from Gene Kim to Peter Ruckman. And then from there, I think I got into some stuff by, oh dear, another really big name out there. It'll come to me. But I eventually fell into the Hebrew roots, and then I fell into because he would always Gene Kim would denounce this thing called hyper dispensationalism, where you take it too far, and so that drew a line of a degree of separation to where I could see, okay, dispensationalism might be okay, but this hyper dispensationalism, it turns into extremes, and it just takes everything off, sidelines everything.
This kind of helps to tie in a little bit to the other topic, the last little bit that I wanted to bring up today about our programs and programming. Roxy and I have been talking a bit about the twinning program and things along those lines. And I I have several amazing books by two women. One, her real name is Susan Eckhart Ford, but she wrote this book under the whatever you call the pen name Bryce Taylor, and it's called "Thanks for the Memories. The Truth Has Set Me Free." And there's also two books from Kathy O'Brien, another monarch slave, just like Susan Eckhart Ford, whose
Did you
book
see that message we just got about Miss Kathy?
is part of why I'm bringing this up,
Okay.
as a matter of fact. One of the books, Transformation of America, I can't remember the name of the other book, but both of these phenomenal women who have not only been brave enough to come out with their stories and experiences, they have both done amazing amount of work to try to bring this to light, bring it to justice. Um, and Kathy O'Brien
Oh, that's interesting.
specifically, she has been working very hard right now on trying to get these trials going for people like us who have been MK slaves and messed with. And so they're trying to have these hearings, and things keep getting postponed, things keep getting pushed off, all kinds of issues and problems. And now, by some, random fate,
Freak.
storm happens to pop off at her house and has just destroyed their home, and right in the midst as she's working on these hearings. So your prayers and support are 100% welcomed and needed. She's a phenomenal person. If it wasn't for her and Susan Eckhart Ford, when I started waking up to the things that I went through, I wouldn't have been able to deal with it, because I didn't have anyone. I didn't have anyone. But God brought me to these books and to their testimonies, and they're amazing women who have fought really hard to bring all this to light and to help us, all of us who've gone through it. And I just kind of wanted to bring this up in Susan's book. Um, there is a part where it talks about the different programs, and I just kind of wanted to end it out tonight to get you guys thinking, to get your brains rolling, and for us to start putting our fractured memories back together, and to help us understand what programs we might have been in, or any of those things, if you are so ready to do so. And I just, let me find it real quick. I know I had it, but it's called The Levels of Monarch Programming. And I'm just going to briefly read these really quick, because again, I just want you all to start getting your wheels turning, and starting to understand and putting your fragments together in your mind, because we've all been MK'd in one way or another. And the more we're put back together through the Holy Spirit, through our Father in heaven, through Jesus Christ, we'll be able to withstand what's to come when all of these people, their programs start going off, and to help us understand and heal through our own stuff and these things. So, anyways, there's the alpha. It is regarded as general or regular programming within the base control personality, characterized by extremely pronounced memory retention, along with substantially increased physical strength and visual acuity. Alpha programming is accomplished through deliberately. Sorry, you know what? I need some light. I do apologize. My eyes are old. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Let's try that again. Increased physical strength and visual acuity. Alpha programming is accomplished through deliberately subdividing the victim's personality, which in essence causes a left brain, right brain division, Clayton,
Wow.
allowing for programmed union of L and R through neuron pathway stimulation.
Holy.
The beta. It is referred to as the sexual programming. This programming eliminates all learned moral convictions and stimulates the primitive sexual instincts devoid of inhibitions. Cat alters may come out at this level. Delta. This is known as killer programming, originally developed for training special agents or elite soldiers, i.e., Delta Force, 1st Earth Battalion,
Oh my.
Mossad, etc. In covert operations, optimal adrenal output and controlled aggression is evident. Subjects are devoid of fear, very systematic in carrying out their assignments. Self destruct or suicide instructions are layered in at this level.
Wow.
Theta, considered to be the psychic programming. Bloodliners, those coming from multi generational satanic families, were determined to exhibit a greater propensity for having telepathic abilities than did non bloodliners. Due to its evident limitations, however, various forms of electronic mind control systems were developed and introduced, namely biomedical human telemetry devices, brain implants, directed energy lasers using microwaves and or electromagnetics. It is reported these are used in conjunction with highly advanced computers and sophisticated satellite tracking systems. Omega, a self-destruct form of programming also known as code green. The corresponding behaviors include suicidal tendencies and or self-mutilation. This program is generally activated when the victim/survivor begins therapy or interrogation and too much memory is being recovered. And then gamma, the final one. Another form of system protection is through deception programming, which elicits misinformation and misdirection. This level is intertwined with demonology and tends to regenerate itself at a later time and inappropriately deactivated. So I know that was a lot
Wow.
to say.
That is crazy. That is very, very interesting.
So,
This
folks, you
All
can
of it.
just figure out which one you were in.
and there could be more. I mean, these are all programs that there's multiple things like that probably layered in, but it will help you to
Yeah.
understand a little bit more. And again, she went through all these things as a child, all throughout growing up in the 60s and the 70s. She personally dealt with Kissinger. He created her mind to be like a computer file that only
Hmm.
he could really access or give people other codes to access in certain
His own little vault.
his own little vault.
And
And
see, I see my brain in a visual way. I see it as just rows and rows and rows of filing cabinets. And if there's something that I learned 10 years ago, I went and filed it in a filing cabinet. So I need 0.67 seconds and I can run over there to that drawer and pull it open and pull that information from back then. Like mine never goes away. It's just
right.
rows and rows of filing cabinets.
And she has a drawing in here in this book of what it is that she sees in her brain, like how her brain works, and it's exactly like that. It's literally file cabinets in her brain, like a filing system. It's very fascinating. But this book came out in 99. This information, this knowledge of these programs have been out for a very long time, as we've talked about.
27 years. Yeah, that's crazy. The
And
second or sorry,
what?
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I'll hold this thought. I'm trying to hold this thought, but
Oh,
it's
I
nothing.
forgot it. Go ahead.
I just want you to. I want you to continue though.
Go
Sorry.
ahead. It's all good.
Well, I was just going to make a mention of the one. All the equipment they've been using, electromagnetically speaking. Probably auditory tools. As you also said, there was one near the end there, maybe the second last or the third last. I don't know if it was Theta or the one after that, but it spoke to lasers. And
Yeah, that's
what?
the
Yes.
lasers
Would that
using.
be in the eye? Like opto. So what comes to my mind is first optogenetics, but that's not the right term. And it's more something, if I had to give it a name without knowing, because there is a name, there's got to be a name for this if that's how it's working. And I know they do program people through light therapy, and you can program people's genetics through light therapy, through the optics of the eye, which is
Right.
light therapy, which they call optogenetics, if you're going to perform epigenetics this way. So I call it epigenetics by way of optogenetics. So it's the selection of genes off and on to control your personality traits, change you as a being in many respects that I can't even speak to, but I know it's there. And I would say this, sorry?
I'd say these towers everywhere are
Absolutely. And that is invisible light. The electromagnetism, they give us these definitions, and so if we're not guarded and sort of loose with that and sort of questioning it, we form constructs in our minds quickly, intuitively, instead of counterintuitively, and take a step back. Now we're at the point, most of us, or a lot of us, more and more as we go on, to like catch that and be like, wait a minute, I ain't taking the first answer I get here. Something's probably off with that. But electromagnetism, in terms of mind control, this is blue light. This blue light spectrum appears to be one of the spectra that they use to control your thought process, through subliminal, through the television, through refresh rates, through the given color band that they sort of allow us to have in our homes. So like, this is probably your fluorescent lighting, to go further back, which always was uncomfortable and just disgusting to me. I hate fluorescent lighting. I like a nice soft yellow light. And I think that's of the red light spectrum, which is, I think, more beneficial in a lot of ways, or at least if it's combined with the blue. But the blue is predominantly used for mind control, epigenetics, optogenetics. Yeah, it's used for manipulation of the
Project
mind a
Bluebeam.
lot.
Right.
Trying
Exactly.
to associate Bluebeam where I was with the Bluetooth.
Yeah.
It's not the Bluetooth. It's the blue light coming from the phone.
Right.
That's your Project
Yeah.
Bluebeam.
Right.
And what is a Bluetooth? A Bluetooth, to me, in other terms, is a dead tooth. Like, I don't know if that's linked or not, but when you think of the metaverse and you think of meta as the dead space, and then you link these terms together and stuff, there might be something to be said there.
blood. The blue bloods.
Blue bloods, yeah,
Blue
yeah,
bloods. That's
right.
that's the elitist, right? And again,
Yep.
I just wanted to reiterate on this theta here, because this is the psychic program, which is the
Optoneuronics
thing
is what
is
I was
that
going to call it.
Roxy and I have been on a lot. We were part of this, and we've known that it had something to do with our genetics and our bloodlines. In the Satan's Hemorrhoids files, it talks about that and all of the genetic manipulation. But it's saying that they knew that the bloodliners had these capabilities, and they're using these devices for the non-bloodliners.
Right. See, everything for me is based, like I was saying, the physical comes second. It takes a backseat to the spectral. I'll try and stay away from the spiritual term, but I think they're sort of kind of linked. But like, so everything first is light. It's electromagnetism. So it's like non-physicality. It's non-physical. It's the physicality comes by way of something first, spiritual or spectral. So I would say the term I was trying to get to was optoneuronics. So optogenetics would be messing around with your physicality, your genes, your physical makeup, and whatever that offers to your brain to help with the neuronics. Because I think optoneuronics makes more sense in terms of light therapy to remap your neuron, your pathways, directories, your routing in your brain, the way you think, the things you think about, the things you emotionally feel and are able to be affected by. So, how do you make an apathetic super soldier you can rely on to not care, no matter how much that person's pleading for your life? You're emotionless, you're going to do your job, and you're a good servant to them. But to do that, you need to remap somebody's entire everything. Like their emotion has to be
Jason
taken out of
Bourne.
the equation. Exactly. And that whole video, wow, now there's something there. That could be a whole piece right there too, because
Well, see, I
he's coming to an awakening like we are. We're not
right.
knowing what they did, but they know what they did to him.
Thing he
And
does.
and he's waking up to this without any help, without having that box, that puzzle box. He's slowly through his own, well, in those terms, he's going to sort of figure out who he is, even though they've erased that from him, because you can't erase truth. So if you're in line with the truth, biblically speaking, which we are, which is why we get these downloads, we're all going to, like I said to Angela last night, we could walk 1,000 miles and come to a crossroads and be like, hey, what are you doing here? Well, I don't know, what are you doing here? Well, I'm here for this. Well, so am I. But the rest of the world ain't into that. You're after the one individual truth. And so, like, in terms, I used the analogy to explain that concept. I used the second law of thermodynamics, which I love doing, to break apart the rest of the model, because I can see it's one of the truths they've given us is entropy is a very, very fascinating thing in terms of how you can be low entropy and higher entropy, and continually higher and higher in entropy, which is chaos, randomness, possibilities, every growth outward. This is heat diffusion, which is why they call it thermodynamics. Everything in this world can be explained through heat. At least I can. Whether that's a human construct or not, it does make sense, and I can do that. I can tell you why your relationship went sour, at least in certain respects, reflecting on my own, in terms of how you become reactive to the point where you can't even have a conversation and bring up what it is before the other person think they know what you're going to say, and you're fighting and you never even got to bring it up. And that's where you get so high in entropy, you're not simple anymore. Nothing's simplistic. So like the pool balls on a pool table racked up is very, very low entropy. You haven't broken them yet. There's only one way to be racked up. But once you break those 15 balls, there is, in number combinations, infinite possibilities of configurations of where those balls are on that pool table, respective to each other, but also where they are respective to the pool table itself, and down to the millimeter. So like it's infinitely endless, because you could just take the numbers themselves and you could play with that forever. The 15 numbers. We use 9 numbers and a 0. Look at the number combinations you can get into, right? So they're like remapping people's brains. I kind of lost my train of thought on that analogy because it went too deep and I stayed off of the original point too
Obama and
long.
his Brain Institute. Project Blue Brain in Switzerland.
Exactly. That was in my vision.
Interesting. I'm not familiar with that. But
Bummer
yeah, that
brains.
the light therapy, I think, would be easier to they would use that to change your genes, but they would probably do that through some electromagnetic process, which comes first. They're using that to change the physicality. They're using the electromagnetism. So it makes sense to me that they could remap your brain, the processes, the wiring of your brain and how it thinks, how it works, and totally like turn off a gene. They could just totally turn off your neurons that give you conviction, that give you a moral compass, that give you compassion, empathy.
Right.
The emotional state, the different states of emotion could be subject to a spiritual thing, I would argue, without not really knowing how to sort of take that. But emotions to me are subject to the heart. When the Bible says don't trust your heart, don't trust your lying eyes, your heart in certain terms is like the thing that keeps you in a bad relationship. when your brain says, no, man, you've done this
Okay.
before like 10
Well,
times, you know better, but your heart wants this thing so bad, and it'll lead your mind, which is your spirit.
oh
So
yeah,
your
it'll completely
emotions,
overlook the negative and only focus on the positive.
yeah, like your
That'll
emotions are
cost you 20
subject
years.
to manipulation. Your emotions are subject to the dark side, whereas your good senses from God is like your good your mind. Your spirit and your mind to me are connected, but somehow by way of emotions, they have a real upper hand on all of us because we are all
But
creatures of.
see, if they're not okay, we've already figured out they've been screwing with our brains since we were little kids. Now we know they're doing it through devices and what you're watching on TV and movies and everything else.
Yeah.
So if you're screwing with our brain to program us to how to act, is that not taking away our free will?
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point. They want to do that. I
Right.
mean, you know,
Yeah.
Billy
Yeah.
Goat dude decided he had wanted to create the VMET gene pokey sticky thing. So, here's something I kind of wanted to bring up with both Kathy and Susan, these women who have come out. They've expressed that their children had also been placed in these programs. And I believe, Susan was in the 60s through the, 80s and a bit into the 90s when her daughter got put in these things, and Kathy a little bit later, but Kathy's daughter is still, of course, in their hands. And both of these girls, their daughters, were taken into programs with electronic frequency, experimentation. And Susan's daughter, I mean, there's pictures of her in here. They completely destroyed her. She's fried. She's like completely mentally handicapped now because of
Jeez.
what they had done to her. And these are, again, like some of the early experimentations that they were doing with some of these harder frequencies that we now have in these devices that we have on a daily basis.
Short
You know,
circuited the brain.
and so it's cyclically there. And, I do believe that some of us, the ones who are the bloodliners, they look for specific blood types, are, I guess, more capable of handling some of these things other than others. And
Right.
that's when you start to see the breakdown of some of these people mentally who aren't on drugs, who aren't on all these things, Alzheimer's, dementia, all of these things that Obama is trying to supposedly solve with his nanotech in the brain. But all this stuff is spurred on from this frequency bombardment and a few other things, I'd imagine, on top of it. And dealing with the sticky pokey agenda that has just gotten worse and worse every year. And I just, these frequencies are really dangerous. And even though we seemingly are able to kind of handle it at this state, wait till 6G, whatever, all these new things start coming out, and you're going to start seeing a lot more people glitched out because they're not capable of the amount of frequency pumped into their bodies from this. And I mean, I don't know if I just wanted to see if I can find a picture because I might turn the
The
camera.
lady that I call mom, she has a bad habit of taking her cell phone, thinking about frequency being pumped into us. She has a bad habit of sitting in the recliner with the phone on speaker, and she'll take the phone and lay it right there, and
Like
just be
right by
sitting
your
there
head.
talking. Last year they removed a cancer off of her chest at that exact spot,
Oh, I see.
that size of a
Yeah.
quarter.
Yeah. Well, they say that's with the women. It's in the breast cancer could be largely caused by the cell phone now because we don't have a lot to benchmark against. There's no way to do a proper control study because everybody's subject to this stuff. There isn't anybody out there that really there. I guess there is in third world countries and stuff, but largely everybody's now exposed to some level of, even if it's not a cell phone.
Bombardment.
But I mean, mostly I'm speaking to cell phones, I guess. But when they told you that you'd get a tumor in your head from using the phone all the time, there's who's that senator there, McCain? McCain had a tumor in the side of his head. People say that guy was on the phone 24/7 and it was right to his head all the time. And then for the men, even myself, my phone goes in my front right pocket always. And it's the testes. So for women, it's the breast, often where the cancers are found. And they are finding correlations,
Well,
with
I'm
the
gonna
cell
have butt
phones.
cancer because I put mine in my back pocket. I'm
Okay.
gonna have butt cancer.
Huh. Yeah.
I'm gonna have butt cancer.
Well, frequency is everything I'm finding, and it's getting so overwhelming in my mind that I can't even put words to it. But like this whole universe, or everything is based on vibration states, different spectra of them. And like I was saying to Angela last night, I think when God comes back, when he comes back, he's going to just lay waste to, they won't see him coming. They think they're going to try and kill him. And I think they've got what they think is a God weapon, and they're going to try and take out Jesus. And it's not going to happen because before you can even see him,
Oh, we got
he comes
gremlins.
all at the same time. And get some
This
reverb.
this is
But
why Jesus. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, what I was going to say is that I think he's going to hit every single possible octave on an infinite spectrum at the same time, and through sound, acoustical resonance, or not resonance, acoustical energy, wave energy. That's what's given weight to the world. That's what's given physicality to the world, and that's also supported by Einstein. That's classical physics. That's the theory of equivalence. E equals mc squared, which means that all matter has its own vibrational state. I don't know where I'm getting this reverb from. It's real bad. But when he comes, equally so, just as he created everything with sound, which is vibration, right? This can be electromagnetic, whether you hear it or not. The stuff you do hear, every single possible tone, octave, whatever, what have you, frequency, spectra on that band, the entire spectrum, which is infinite, I think, he's going to hit it all at the same time. So everything that's being created and held right now in this, I guess you could call it a suspension, so to say, but everything physical around us gives off a certain vibration, and everything also equally inversely was created by that same spectral signature, as they call it, that given unique signatory frequency to what its makeup is, along with its size and shape. And so when it says I'm going to come back and lay waste to the land with the sword of my mouth, or the sword of his coming from his mouth, if you took the S off the beginning of that, you'd have the word, right? So you can call the Bible, or you can just call it the word. And for anybody who changes, adds to or takes away from my word, you will have 7 generations of curses. Like your kids are going to feel that. And I feel like a lot of, like, that's what we're going on, whatever. But that's how I see that in terms of like everything happening. Everything physical is subject to something that's invisible, and we see the visible light spectrum, which is more akin to the physical than it is to the non-physical. Like it's that part that we can see all the physical by using that particular subset or band of nanometers between whatever it is, 400 nanometers to, I don't know, I think it's not very much. It's like a total of like 800 nanometers if I had to guess. I'd have to look that up. I could be wrong. But I mean, the spectrum is huge. So there's way, way, way more than that we can't see and perceive by any means than what we can with our eyes, our ears, and feeling, your hair, the hair on your arms is there for a reason. And even that, Sabrina Wallace, who's in my understanding a technomancer, which goes higher than magic, mancy, necromancy, technomancy. There's a lot of different types out there, just like there's a lot of different types of magic. That's a higher degree of application and effect. And so like this gets into Loosh as well. how they're using electromagnetic, these black screen scrying devices, according to her even, and her other secret website where she recruits other witches. Uh, it goes through some of this stuff and it explains how they harvest loosh from us through these black screen scrying devices that we can't see through the circuitry behind them, where the demons operate, I would argue. And they, this technological thing that we're experiencing, it's all based on electromagnetic light is another term for it. Not just because you can't see it. The Bible speaks to light a lot, and it alludes to things that can be classified under the classical understanding of physics as electromagnetism. The visible light, the color spectrum in that, the violets, the ultraviolets, the infrareds, and the gamma rays down through the X-rays and the microwaves and everything else. It's all vibrational wave energy, just like waves on the surface of water or invisible under the water. As a tsunami comes in, you can't see that till it surfaces on the surface, but there's moving water down there. And it's not moving it's moving at like 500 to 700 kilometers an hour. And it's a really weird thing because the particles, they in and of themselves just go up and down in a wave. They don't travel left and right. They just do this in accordance. So like if you have a whole bunch of people holding hands and people just go up and down, up and down, up and down throughout that line, it'll give the effect of a wave moving across the surface, but it's not. It's just that's how that works. But I I forgot where I was going. I get on these damn tangents, but the visible light, everything physical takes a backseat to what created it, and that is sound energy. That's the word of God. He created everything with the word. So when he comes back, I think he's going to come back at the same time, visibly and audibly, and everything else at the same time, to where it's going to just dissolve everything. Everything's just going to what they call ionize, deionize rather, and it. This is something you can do with magnets, and what I believe they're doing to open the portal, or at least pierce the veil, I should say, at CERN, using what they call Ferlini's magnetic barrier, which basically creates converges all these electromagnetic fields. And this is also where I believe you can the flower of life and the Kabbalah, using 6 points on those nodes that would create the hexagram in terms of the flower, not necessarily straight linear lines that way or whatever to create the hexagram, but the flower of life, I believe, is created incidentally by having a convergence point with these toroidal fields. To converge them in the middle, you have to overlap them on before the middle. They have to overlap because they're round. So if you have a bunch of round discs and you want to have them all just touch in the middle, you'll discover that they all overlap to do that. And so that's where you get this invisible, very interesting, and this is only 2-dimensionally I'm speaking here, but it's actually 3-dimensional or more. Actually, it's easy to understand more than 3 dimensions this way, I think, because this gets into the tesseract, this gets into the cube, this gets into how a hexagon actually looks like a cube if you train your eyes to see it that way, and then you lose sight of it, and you're like, wait a minute, I got to actually physically apply myself to see the cube in a hexagram, but it's there. And it's like, if you look at those petals of the flower of life, as they call it, and imagine those as 3-dimensional, they now become like an oblong, sharp Christmas bulb you hang on your tree with points on either end. You know the ones, and so like if you put different points of axis on that, you can now create infinite axis points, not just with X, Y, and Z, which creates 3 dimensions, right? There's one going across, one going up and down, and then there's one going straight out and straight towards you, let's say. And that's what forms a 3-dimensional, turns the hexagram into an actual Merkaba, which is the star, which is 2 tetrahedrons overlapping. An inverted triangle on the other triangle creates, those are 2 tetrahedrons that come together to create a Merkaba. And if you get into the book of Ezekiel through the eyes of the Babylonian mystics, you'll discover that Ezekiel is a very, very prominent figure in their beliefs. And they talk about Ezekiel a lot in terms of the chariot of fire with Enoch. And Enoch is actually Yeshua, and Metatron and Chronos and all those other names ultimately are Enoch. But see, that's third Enoch of Cain, not of Seth. But when you listen to these Zionists or these Babylonian mystics talk, they actually equate first and third Enoch as the same person, because they say, Enoch who walked with God is going to come back as one of their messiahs.
100% not the same Enoch.
No. But see, this is how I believe they are deceiving their own people, right?
I know.
So this is how the masters, the bearded rabbis, have deceived all of those who want to understand Judaism. They get sucked into the whole Zionistic part of it. And, it's really, really confounding. Like, it is so out there. There's so much. You can never stop learning the Kabbalah. You can never stop learning the Talmud, even is just huge. And there's so many books that they refer to. And the Torah, when they say that they study the Torah, if they are of those ones who are into the Kabbalah, the Torah is studied through the lens of the Kabbalah. It's not as they say, because some Christian Zionists would be out there trying to argue, well, they just, they believe in the Old Testament God and da 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 da. It's like, no, they don't. No, they don't at all. They believe in multiple gods. They have three messiahs, and Trump is the first. Trump is like the reincarnation of Ben Joseph, Messiah Ben Joseph. That's who he sort of represents to them in terms of one of three messiahs. And I only know so much about this because it's endless. The ones who are immersed in it and practice it and want to know it don't know half of it. And they believe when they bring about their Messiah that they're actually going to learn from, he's going to teach the fourth secret level of Kabbalah along with the secret of the Tav, I believe, which is the 22 sacred letters, which is, I call lesser keys, because I believe somehow that modern Hebrew, as they say, it's a magical language, and it's glyphs, it's ruins, it's flames. To me, it looks like fire. And then they went and added the crowns on there at some point, which look like flames that, the flames that extend off a flame and just disappear, like flame licks. And they're an accent to give more weight or multiple meanings to these 22 sacred letters, which makes up the Hebrew. And that Hebrew, as I understand, is derived from the hexagram as incremental pieces of it, like a puzzle. And so I think when all of that happens, I see it as like light bouncing around in a crystal that creates this spiritual prison, that a binding that traps something already in there that they're trying to release, or something in there in terms of like they're going to try and trap us all inside of this cube once they get this digital prison, these data centers built. And the data centers are going to be holding tanks for people, but they're going to be processing centers, I think. And they're also going to be where the mainframe for our digital consciousness. And this is where demons have been leading us. See, people think that they've been communing with demons to get advantages because they've led us to believe that. And Eisenhower made a deal with these so-called aliens or demons years ago, supposedly, as the conspiracy theory goes, that, yeah, you can take people from our country, but you have to take them from national parks, and you have to bring them back when you're done experimenting with them. That's how the story goes. But I think they're flipping the script, and they're making people think, oh, look at all this technology. It's amazing, because people are getting rich. These elites are getting rich on it. It's furthering the advancement of our debt system, because with the system we have, this debt system, you have to constantly create more jobs, because there isn't money. At the end of the day, there's nothing is real, it's fake. So as long as you have more things to satisfy that debt, you can keep incurring that debt. You know what I mean? As soon as the system stops, it's like, wait a minute, we got bills to pay. Where's the money? We don't have it. All of that generates itself as you continue that whole false thing and keep kicking that can down the road. And dang it, got too deep again. Yeah, so they've been leading us to think that we're using them, because this is a Solomon again. This is Solomon given the gift, or supposedly given the gift of God, which I don't necessarily see that in there yet. I don't see how that's possible, because it went so awry. But then it could be part of God's model, because he did leave 10% remnant of the Nephilim behind to act as perhaps the enforcers of the accusers judgment, right? I see the devil and all of his minions as tools of God. I have to reconcile the model that way, or nothing makes sense. So we're in a time of judgment. God isn't leaving Satan unhinged. He uses his enemies to do his work. And if you're not in line, then Satan's going to take you to task. He's going to tempt you also. But that's a test of your faith. And God's up there probably admiring you for, uh, transcending that and circumventing all of that. And so I think that humans have been under this impression, the leaders at the top, that we're controlling demons. Like, I'm at the point where I think every single function, because I use technocratic, technology to me is modern day application of demonology, but nobody knows that because everybody's been trained on thinking demonology is mystical, fantastical, whimsical stuff. And the only lens they can understand it in is something that is laughable and just so make believe and far fetched. But you don't realize, like, they've adopted terminology in technology from demonology. They've also adopted rank and chain of command through the ranks of I believe the ARS, the Lemegeton, the one of 5 books of the Lemegeton, the Ars Goetia. And there's kings, there's princes, there's dukes, there's earls, there's marquises, there's one knight, there's presidents, and then there's the vice president, who's Lucifuge, which you can contract with using one of these grimoires if you want to get rich and famous. But to go back, not get too far into the weeds, because this stuff kind of ties and helps give it context. People think that they are in control of demons, and they've made it so that we are. They have to obey a certain cosmic law through electromagnetic applications of it or what have you, but they can't just, we control them for now, but they're actually secretly in control, making us think that, so that we lead the charge into building out that which, if you build it, they will come. And once that we get to that level to where they can flip the script, they're going to flip the script. And we're not any longer in control because we've built out the technology so that they can flip the script. And instead of us commanding demons, like every single function in your phone is a demon performing that.
Right.
It's going to be the other way around, where they're going to somehow, don't ask me how, I don't understand it yet, convert our consciousness into a digital format and upload it into the system for whatever applications, to be human-like, to tap into our memories, maybe to deceive other people so that we don't even know we're now dealing with demons in the flesh. I don't know, but they're going to live vicariously through us in our bodies by this global hybridization thing that I'm obsessed with and wish I could, unpack to the world, because I'm getting more and more able to talk around it. It's very complicated, but it's demonic hybridization in terms of they're going to hybridize us with demons. We're going to go uploaded now. They're going to control us in our by
liminal spaces, the metaverse.
Because they're yes, and then you look into the language and the etymology, and this is where all the clues lie, right? Like the terms meta as the dead space, the spiritual or the spectral space. I would encourage people to look up the term specter, and until you understand that that's a spiritual entity or a spectral entity, as well as, or a haunting. But it's also where we get the term through the Latin, because that's a Latin word. We get the term spectrum from the word specter, and that's a dead giveaway to how the electromagnetic spectrum, and for other observations, I would say, is observably the inextricable link or cross-realm bridge between the spectral realm and this terrestrial temporal realm. And so when they flip this script, the demons go into us and we go into the machine. Ghost in the Machine. Remember that movie?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really bizarre, but we think that we are in control of them, and that's how they're going to have it, because we wouldn't do this otherwise. But they're making us feel like we control them, and they're having us build this out over time to where they get it to a point where they can flip that script and take the reins. And those who are not saved are going to be in this cube of Metatron, if that makes any sense. I'm not there yet with that one. That one's real, tons of possibilities with the cube.
I have a bit on that. I'll interject. I
Mhm.
did a lot of
Sorry.
study. No, it's okay. I did a lot of study on the black Saturn worship cult nonsense. And, we are aware that Satan is really the one, the prince of the air. He's the one in charge of the earth at this moment in time. He has the permission.
Yeah.
Well, Saturn in itself, as we have been told, has two poles. The North Pole is in the hexagram/cube, right? That has this frequency type of a swirl that goes around it at a specific frequency speed. And at the bottom, it looks like an eyeball. And
At the
at
bottom, meaning the
bottom,
South
the South
Pole. Sorry,
Pole.
or
The South Pole looks like one eye. It looks like an eyeball.
really?
Yes.
I had
And
not heard
it
that.
also, aside from the main ring that we have been told about, it has the largest ring in all of our supposed galaxy, or supposed known galaxy, or whatever. And it's
Yeah.
infrared. You can't see it with the naked eye. It's in the infrared spectrum, but it's massive. It's
Heat
like
spectrum.
the
Yeah.
ring to rule them all. So it's
Yeah.
frequency. It has
Yeah.
hijacked the frequency. It has hijacked God's word. In
I'm
the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. The Word was God. This is why Jesus Christ is the only way, the only truth, the light, you guys. This is why, because
yeah.
he is
Exactly.
the word. He is the frequency. And if you don't align yourself with Jesus Christ, that narrow path, then you are hijacked by the ring to rule them all.
That's amazing. That makes so much sense, and that actually backs up what I said earlier. I think with when I postulate that when he comes back, I think he's going to be everything, anything, and everything that exists, all at the same time. So that's your gamma rays that are the most powerful proponent of electromagnetism out there. When a dwarf or a neutron star explodes, or you know. They gauge everything. This is how they use red light shift and or the gravitational lensing and red shift to determine the distance of a star, whether it's coming towards us, going away from us. If it's coming towards you, it'll be blue. If it's going away from you, it's indicated as red, because a spectrum of light is getting elongated. It's the wavelength is getting stretched, but where it gets compressed, it becomes blue. But he's going to come back as gamma rays, X-rays, microwaves, all. That's just the invisible, and the color spectrum, the infrared, the ultraviolet, the violet, uh, everything all at once, right? Because everything in this earth requires, I believe, a certain frequency to uphold it and give it weight, to give it mass or even rest mass. It's all based on electromagnetic forces. That carrier wave holds it up. It holds it in suspension. It keeps it. It gives it weight. I could use a lot of terminology probably, but so when he comes back, that's just the electromagnetic spectrum. There's also, now you have the acoustical spectrum, any and all sound, and it's going to come all at the same time. Nothing can resist this. Nothing can withstand this. And you, as a spirit that's in that light, you can, because he's going to have a reservation for you in the name of the truth, which is the truth, the light or life, and the way. That particular very narrow niche of low entropy, racked up pool balls, is akin to the one truth. And that's why I say we can go on our own walk, never know each other, and find ourselves at the crossroads and be like, well, what are you doing here? Nobody's here. I'm only here. Thousands, everybody went everywhere else. I'm here. Well, I'm here for this. Oh, so am I. And it's the truth. That's the common denominator, because there's only one truth and a gazillion lies, endless lies. But there's only one way to be racked on that pool table, and a billion other possibilities of everything else, which is the broad path versus the narrow path. So perhaps when he comes back, if you're of that spirit, he's going to have a contingent, a reservation for your vibration state, which is his, right? It's the truth. And that's the one frequency that he won't mess with because it's the truth. Everything else disintegrates. It just, so like all matter around you, every single thing you can look at is going to dissolve into ionization and even further into nothingness, perhaps, like just stripped right down even beyond the three different types of electrons. So that, to me, when you say, the one ring to rule them all, and that frequency that gets in the way of God's frequency or hijacks, somehow blocks it out or whatever, gets in the way of all things with all these confounding things and backrooms, if you will. Sort of imagine imagine if you had to live your life listening to, right from birth, everybody, this wah, 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 you know what I mean? It never ends. And that's what I see from CERN, is a certain frequency that could be possibly broadcasted out, and it's got us all in a certain mental state of unknowing, if you will, unless you
I think
choose
we
the
all live in a
truth,
state
and the
of
truth will
unknowing.
cut through it, and the truth will cut through that. You know what I mean? To a certain degree, it'll help you cut through it because it's very powerful, and this is Satan's domain for now, on a permit basis, right? It's all a permit system, which is how he can take you to task if you're not in line with the truth. And he has an argument against you. This is what he has against you. And so you got to be in line with the truth, the one truth. And when Jesus came and said, I am the truth, the life, and the way, I think what he was saying is, I'm the only truth to ever walk upon this place. Everything else, you're going to learn that. If you could be a fly on the wall in the very end, you'll realize it. It's all a lie.
It's all a lie. Everything's a lie.
Yeah, you
All
got
right.
it to work.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I just said, yeah, you got it to work.
Yeah, my mic finally come back on. I don't know what went on. It was like all of a sudden gremlins had struck for the past 3 minutes, and I'm over here like sucking air, texting Shannon like, nobody can hear me.
Oh, no.
I don't know what it was. We're a
glad you
little
made it
over
back.
2 hours, so we should probably give everybody a break for the
Yeah.
evening.
That's
Biggie,
cupcake time.
that's East Coast time, yeah.
I said
Well,
cupcake
Biggie
time.
brought up a big thing. What are we going to be for our campaign slogan, Shannon? Like, we
This
need
is
a
something
campaign.
we need. This is what I propose. I propose we have a campaign slogan contest.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Don't
Would.
ask me what you're going to win yet. We'll get there. We'll make that announcement to be
Well, about
announced.
20 years ago, my dad said something that I thought was amusing and funny and kind of like cynically true. And he's like, yeah, I think I'm going to run. I think I'm going to run for prime minister. Said, oh, yeah. I said, yeah, my platform's going to be honesty. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I'm in it for the pension.
Okay, so we're in it to just
I'm in it to win it.
PDFs. I mean,
I'm
in it
in
to
it
win
to
it.
win it. 10 toes down. There we go.
All right, well, we have some of our first suggestions. We are opening up this campaign
Big E's on the ball.
slogan here.
Big E's
How
on
do
the
you-
ball.
Yeah. What's Big E saying here?
America.
Bringing wood chippers to America. To a town near you.
Oh, I can't wait. All right, so you guys have to put it up in Roxy's community post, because if it's up in mine, I may not see it as fast as Roxy. So Roxy, put it in
Shannon, be honest, Shannon. Shannon's not allowed to touch buttons. Shannon doesn't check her own analytics, nothing. Because when I let Shannon touch buttons, things happen.
And I don't necessarily want to know what the analytics are. Although when you tell me it's fun, it's like a surprise. And then
Guys,
I
we didn't even know that we've been live on TikTok for months. Like, we had no clue.
Oh,
Well, I signed up the TikTok thing in the studio that we use through Restream. And I had done the TikTok thing, and I'd been to my TikTok page over there, and like tried to get everything to hook up. But I couldn't see on my page, on my TikTok profile, where I was seeing any analytics for live. What I didn't understand is there's a whole nother little app. Of course, there's another app you got to download. And so we go over there, and there's like a bunch of subscribers over on my TikTok page. And I'm like, oh, Shannon, don't we broadcast to somewhere else? And I was like, oh, yeah, we're on Rumble too. We go over there, there's like 50 different subscribers on Rumble and bits.
oh.
We just keep forgetting that we broadcast to these other channels sometimes. Because in
Well,
here,
that's
we don't
cool.
see channels.
no.
We just have
Right.
little tabs across the top that show you how many channels we're on. But on the right-hand side, what you're seeing on the screen, if there's any chat, it all comes through together. And there's a little colored icon which shows us where it's from, but it doesn't say whether it's my page or Shannon's page or the Supernatural show.
Oh, okay.
And
But
as
we
we
can-
have been told, none of our numbers are correct anyway. So that's why even
Trust me, evidently our reach is way further than we thought it was because old girl's wearing a Care Bear sweatshirt. So
Hmm.
I wasn't sure that was for us until we had confirmation. So
Did you get confirmation?
we did. It was confirmation.
No way.
Oh yeah.
So where's the switchblade? Is there a switchblade too?
No, that's her.
no,
This is
no, mine has a switchblade.
Yeah.
Shannon has a cupcake.
Okay, I
in
see.
my hand. I have a cross on my belt.
Oh yeah, she has a cross. I have a bong in my hand. That's right.
That's
That's funny.
see, we have the other half to each other. I have the cupcake. She has the bong, and we switch when we need to. It works out.
We're sleep, but we'll stab you.
Yeah.
Bringing wood chippers to America. Like we
I
love
will
you.
stab
We
you.
want to hug you. We want to teach you about Jesus. But if you mess with us or our babies, we feeding you through wood chippers. Mhm.
Yeah.
Keep messing around, pimping. You'll be limping. I promise you. Not playing them games. I've had enough of this
Roxy for
insanity.
president 2028.
Not playing no games around here. This goes for everybody. Big E, I don't know who you talking about, sweetheart, but go over and DM me on Discord. Because I don't know, but we will find
that
out
could
if
be
there's a problem.
That could be a good slogan in and of itself, right there. Just
What's that?
not playing no games around here.
That's right. Not playing no games around here. It's cheer. Not playing no games around here.
Yeah.
So more suggestions, you guys, for the contest.
How about I will get whoever comes up with the campaign slogan, I will get you a t-shirt with that slogan on it.
Oh hey.
That's cool.
You get to be
Whatever we pick is our slogan, you'll get a freebie. I'll pay for it out of my pocket.
I'll share in the
Here we go. Everybody getting a wood chipper. Everybody getting one.
Everybody get a wood chipper. I can't.
Well, as
Everybody
more
in
and
the club
more,
had a wood chipper.
there could be something there. You could put some kind of nuanced thing against the element of the term globalist in there, because as more and more of this happens, even secular people are coming out. They're not having it. They're just not having it. They don't care about Jesus. They don't want to. They just want this lunacy to stop. So you might be able to target a pretty good audience out there at some
There we
point.
go.
as-
Snowballs. We ain't right, but we ain't wrong either. I love that one.
Mhm. That's pretty good.
Oh, that's fantastic. Snowball. Okay, Snowball's in the lead in my vote. Between him and Big E there.
And
We
here
ain't
I am
right.
trying to say, I was about to say, where's the peace in the slogan. Don't we want to be peaceful? And then
We're gonna be peaceful through wood chippers.
yeah.
Because when you remove the bad guys, the good guys are peaceful. This is the process. You see what I'm saying? Like, we ain't
Yep.
gonna come out here and go,
Our checks and
oh,
balances
no.
as a team. You see?
That's why you're the diplomat and I'm the knee
Defense
breaker.
is you can't have
Because-
defense without offense coming at you. Defense is
Right.
subject to
I'm not
offense.
all about this everybody holding hands doing kumbaya. Nah, I'm gonna take out the bad dudes first. Then we can all sit around the bonfire and roll one up, and the world will be a good place.
Yeah, this is the teamwork makes the dream work.
Wood chippers for everybody. It'll be like a tax deduction. Like, free wood chippers. I'm
You could probably
serious.
find an
It'll be a
image.
good
You could
place.
probably find a pretty good image in a movie called Fargo.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love Fargo. Did you watch the series?
Oh my God.
I did. It was amazing.
I
All
love
3
Fargo.
series.
I love
Yeah.
Fargo. Yeah, we are completely off track. We're now thinking about.
Why is it that everyone but me loves that movie? Why am I the only one disturbed by
You
the
also
series
like
of
Monty Python.
unfortunate events? I love Monty Python. Okay.
He's superior firepower. It has a
Keep it.
peace sign with crosshairs on it.
It's
Now, I like that one.
wings. Run away! Run away! That's all I have to say about that.
No, I love Fargo. I like something that you actually can't see the next thing coming. Like, disaster's coming.
Yeah.
See, it's kind of like Shameless. See, that's one of the reasons I like Shameless. Like, there's 97 disasters coming, but all of a sudden it takes a U-turn and it's not what you thought it was.
Yeah, and I cannot stand that show because to me it's just this glorification of Disturbia. I can't. I think it's
Listen,
terrible.
I can watch that show and understand that other people's lives are way more disturbed than the Jerry Springer I grew up in, okay?
Oh, God, no. I'm trying to run away from trauma, not watch it for entertainment.
Girl, you can't run away from trauma. You got to sit down in it, take a cup, and pour it all over you.
I guess
That's how you end up in a back room.
Right?
That's how you end up in a back
That's how
room.
I ended up in the
And
street.
that
Oh dear.
our broadcast, you guys. I love you. Have good night.
Good night.
And accept Jesus in your heart if you haven't.
Smile at your neighbor.
Good night,
We'll see
everybody.
you this weekend. Good night,
That's
Clayton.
awesome.
Thank you for being on.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Like
It's
and
always
subscribe.